Hello everybody and welcome to Front Row Racing on this Thursday evening where we're getting ready for round 16 of the World Series Reserves from Sepang in Malaysia. We're on F1 2016, we're on PlayStation 4 and I'm Front Row Racing DP. I'll be the cameraman for today, and joining me in the commentary box once again is Coming to Get You, but also got a little bit of a special guest this week, Rickster 81295 from the World Series joining us on commentary as well. So guys, we could be looking at a wet one, we could be looking at a dry one. Either way, it's Malaysia. It usually brings a few surprises. So what do you think we're expecting from tonight's event?
I think we can see a bit of rain. Hopefully we see some rain. Makes the race a lot more interesting. I mean, with the amount of drivers tonight, rain would be really nice, but yeah.
I hope we got some rain tonight because I had to suffer last night in my event. So yeah, we've got a good group of drivers though, smaller group than normal. It could be an eventful race, but yeah, I'm looking forward to it because it's a challenging track. Setup is crucial, downforce key. Let's see which driver can master Malaysia here this evening.
Yeah, well, as you mentioned, there's a slightly smaller grid than we've had recently in the World Series Reserves, and hopefully a couple of the drivers who aren't online at the moment will be able to get online as soon as possible. They will be able to join during qualifying and still be able to take part in the race. I will quickly run through the drivers we've got at the moment, and then we will send the drivers over to the racetrack. So in the Mercedes, we've got Willow Wolves and the OG Dragon. In Ferrari, we've got Curly Whirly and Anders HC. And in the Williams, we've got Drew. His teammate, Twist Royalty, unfortunately not able to race tonight. He did let me know on that one. In the Red Bull, we've got Lord JB and Tuzmus, who won the last World Series Reserves race. Definitely keep an eye out for him today. In the Renault, we've got Danny Railton and Yuzi 1985. Yuzi had his first reserve race in the World Series last week, and we'll see how he gets on here in Malaysia in the reserves event. Toro Rosso, that's where we'd usually have a Razor 21, but unfortunately he's not online tonight, so hopefully he'll be able to come and join us during qualifying. In the Sauber, we got Coloniax. He's managed to make his way to the lobby. That's good news. And then we have Caribbean Crush, probably the most frustrated driver in the World Series, and probably now one of the most deserving of any permanent spaces that come available in the World Series. Keep an eye out for him today. I think he's still in a situation of perhaps feeling he's got a lot to prove, but many would say he's already proved it this season. In the Haas, we've got I'm Loki and Gonk721, and we know that Loki is quick. Question will be, is he going to put any qualifying laps in? Who knows? We saw him try last time out in Singapore, and unfortunately, it didn't quite work for him. Anyway, we're going to send the drivers over to the racetrack where we've all got our fingers crossed that it's raining when we get there. But I'm just going to hand over to Coming to Get You, who I believe has a question of the day for the viewers today.
I do indeed, DP. Being Malaysia, we know it's coming off the F1 rotor after the season. I thought I'd go way back when Malaysia first hit the scene in 1999. Question of the day is, people probably remember who won the race being Eddie Irvine due to the championship situation. But my question is, who came sixth and scored the last point scoring position in that race?
That's an interesting question. Rickster, do you want to pretend that we don't know the answer and have a guess?
I'm gonna say Barrichello.
You know what? I'm going to go for Michael Schumacher.
There we go.
Michael Schumacher.
Yeah, I know. Anyway, so yes, folks, if you think you want to have a guess at answering, attempt answering that one, no cheating. Pop an answer on the YouTube chat. Okay, tyres for Malaysia, as we saw in the World Championship Reserves race last night. We got the soft tyre, the yellow marked, the medium tyre, the white marked, the hard tyre, the kind of peach marked tyre, although it can quite often look a bit red or orange, and that is the mandatory tyre unless it's raining during the race. A couple of questions for you guys. I mean, Malaysia, it's an awkward track, really, to get a balanced setup for, isn't it? I'm asking the question as a bit of a sort of devil's advocate. I mean, is it a setup you go, let's go low wings because of the 2 long straights, or is it a track where you go, let's go high wings because of Sector 2?
Wow. Me personally, this is a track that is more of a driver track than setup, because you can get away with like your medium downforce levels with a good solid setup for mechanical grip, but higher aeros can help you with strategy. You can change, you can use softer compounds because you can prolong the tyre life. So I think it's interesting because, yep, setup's important, but I've always said Malaysia's a driver's track. Yeah, the best man wins.
Yeah. And what about yourself, Rickster?
I can't really add on to that. I completely agree with that. It is, this track, I would say, is more of a driver skill track than it is down to the setup you have.
Fair enough. Talking about driver skill, and sorry for this connection, talking about driver skill, in the last World Series race at Singapore, I believe your race did not quite go to plan. I mean, do you want to update us of what happened there?
I thought it was all fine, because I must have had a bit of lag, because on my I don't know if it happened on yours, but on my screen I'd overtaken 3 cars in front of me before turn 2. So I think I had a bit of lag, and then the game sorted itself out halfway down the track and moved, I think it was Calzo, back further back from where he actually was, and I ended up going into the back of him and losing my front wing.
Oh dear.
And then I just couldn't really get going again, so I just decided to call it a day.
Oh well, at least you got to taste a few of the delights from Singapore anyway. But we'll focus now a little bit more on Malaysia, and quite a few of the drivers opting for the softest compound tyre straight away. I think Lord JB is going to be the first to start a fly-in lap. And obviously he's got a bit of a spotlight on him because of having done commentary last night. It means that anything he may have said last night is going to get crucified today. So, coming to get you, would you like to take us for a lap around Malaysia on board Lord JB as he goes around the final corner to start his first fly-in lap?
Of course, Stevie. It's a track I love. It's an interesting track. Sector 1 a bit boring, but it'll get exciting from turn 4. DRS straight. Coming down the pit straight, hit your braking point nice and late. I find tight on the apex. Lord JB doing that, switch back, get tight here, open up the corner, nicely done, a bit tentative. Traction's important through turn 3 though, as we're exiting down to turn 4, carry the speed. See what sector times 24.1, nicely lining up for turn 4. All about traction here as we go up the hill into the fast turns 5 and 6, little lift, maybe a bit cautious at the moment, running wide. Grip levels may not be there at the moment, but here's 7 and 8, 2 corners I love on this track. If you get the perfect line, it's 1 long corner, hit the power nicely, coming down now to turn 9, which opening up this corner is very important because you went to turn 10 straight away. Nicely done, 33.3, I'm unsure of the second time at the moment. Braking point's a bit blind as we enter now, turn 11, sorry. Run down to turn 12, entering 13, 14 straight away. The braking line is absolutely crucial here. Middle of the track, opening it up. Again, a bit tentative, maybe just feeling his way through the track. But the exit of that corner is very, very important as you open the DRS coming up to the final corner now, turn 15. Braking point crucial, all about speed this the last few corners. A bit late there, a bit wide. See what his first run those opens the DRS as we come to the start line. It is a 1:47.4.
It's pole position! Well done, Lord JB. Hopefully you'll be able to keep hold of it for a little while. Rickster, I'm just wondering who you've got your eyes on at the moment.
Willow Wolves, he's done a fastest Sector 1 and a fastest Sector 2, 23.7 in Sector 1 and a 32.4 in Sector 2. So he is quite far up on, if I have a look, yeah, he's up on pole by quite a bit right now. He's just coming down around the last corner now, coming across the line. And he's done a 1:35.2.
Someone I do want to have a look at is Moose. He's on the medium compound tyre and he's just about to start a flying lap. And there's somebody else on there on a medium tyre who did a 23.7 Sector 1, I think. You might want to have a look and see who that was, guys, while I follow Moose nicely through turns 1 and 2. Turn 2's a weird corner because it looks like you go way too slow through there, but the faster you take it, the more chance of doing what Moose did. End of Sector 1, and yeah, it's only a 24.0 for him. That little moment cost him a bit of time.
That guy you mentioned, DP, was Curly Will. He's just crossing the line to set a 1:35.7, and he is now in third. I think he lost some time in that last step there, so he may go for a second run as we speak.
Okay, Caribbean Crush just starting a flying lap. So, Rick, I was wondering if you want to jump on board with Caribbean Crush and perhaps you could take us through his lap. He's just getting through turns 1 and 2.
Anywhere near as good as Coming to Get Yous, but I can't even find him at the moment. Caribbean Crush. He's not coming up on my screen.
Oh, okay. In that case, then go and find somebody that's on an out lap, or someone that we can switch cameras to in a few moments. Actually, Caribbean Crush has just done a 23.5 Sector 1 time. I think that's purple, so we're going to watch the remainder of this lap. So, Rickster, find someone that will be able to watch once Caribbean Crush has finished his lap. Through turns 7 and 8, and as Coming to Get You said, it is one long corner if you get it right, and if you get it wrong, it's two horrible corners. Now down into turn 9, traction zone, so important here, but with assists on, it can help you quite a lot. One of my most hated corners on this track, not much of a corner, but you can lose or gain so much time through there, and a 32.1 at Sector 2 time. Now into the Sunway Lagoon, where we saw a lot of drivers making mistakes last night, and I'm sure we'll see that again today when the fuel is in the car. DRS wide open, long run now down to turn 15, but I think at the moment this is going to be good enough for pole position. No, he's going to the pits.
That is, I was on the timing screen as he entered the pits, DP, and that was two purples, solid. Maybe he's looking for the medium compound?
Yeah, I was going to say, he's going for a hard compound tyre.
He's just lost it. I don't know what corner that is, but he's off onto the grass. I think that's the long sweeping right-hander you like, to get you. Yeah, it was. No, it wasn't. No, no. Coming up to... Oh, he's lost it again! Coming out of Sunway Lagoon.
Heading into Sunway Lagoon, yeah,
straight into the gravel. He's right across the gravel next to the barrier.
Yeah, he went off just sort of after turn 10, where I said traction is so important, and he's now trying to go all the way around the gravel trap. He's going to have to go through the gravel a little bit to get back onto the racetrack, which he does now and takes the shortest run through there, but that'll be his lap over. Okay, let's see who else is on a lap or about to start a lap. Let's see, Colonia.
I can actually watch a lap properly. I think I've got a bit of lag going because the cars on my screen keep stopping and jumping. So
okay.
Not sure what's going on.
I reckon that's just an excuse so you don't have to take someone through a lap. Oh, no, I'm joking.
I knew you were going to say that.
I'll tell you what, have a look at the OG Dragon. He is trying to find where the racetrack is at the moment. He's on the medium compound tyre, but he's trying to set himself up for a flying lap. And he had a pretty good race in Singapore in the World Series Reserve. So if you've been able to find the OG Dragon, let's see how he gets on around Malaysia. Go for it, Rickster.
Okay, here we go, across the line. It's coming down to turn 1 now. You've got to brake really late, well not really late, but try and brake as late as you can. Get the car turned round nice, tight on the inside. I'd like to hit a late apex on this. Switch the car back to turn 2. Oh, my screen is lagging so bad, this is so difficult. Where is he? Yeah, this is difficult. I'm not gonna be able to do this. I'm really sorry.
Okay, no problem.
One's going all over the place for some reason.
No problem. Well, hopefully it will stabilise a little bit for you during the race. Sector 1 time for the OG Dragon was a 23.8. But Rickster, if you could have a look and let us know if Caribbean Crush, Tuzmoose and perhaps Loki are going back out on track at all on harder compound tyres. As the OG Dragon may have had a little bit of a cut through turn 8 there, but 23.8 sector 1 on the medium compound tyre I don't think is too shabby really. Up to the corner where Loki went off. A 32.7 sector 2, that's a pretty good sector 2 time. That's not far off what Caribbean Crush did on the soft compound tyre into Sunway Lagoon. It's a horrid corner, and now it's a case of right, get your breath, spot your braking point, unless you're going into the pits, and then just make sure you know where the pit entry is. Well, let's see, he's currently sitting in 11th place is the OG Dragon, and one corner to go, get that power down. Open up the steering, open the DRS, cross the line. I'm going to guess 4th, 5th. Not too bad. Nicely done.
Looking at the timing screen, that was a good lap. He's 9/10 off Curly Willy 7, who's got a 35.0 on the medium compound as well.
Okay, so have a look at Tuzmoose. He's on a very, very slow out lap or in lap at the moment. Anders, he's on the soft compound tyre. He's getting ready to start a fly-in lap, but I am definitely interested to know what Caribbean Crush is going to do on his particular lap. But Anders, here we go then as he starts his lap. Now, something I haven't seen any of the drivers do is take a very wide line around the last corner to give himself a bit of extra speed down the start-finish straight. As Rick's just said, brake as late as you can here. You can take turn 1 with a couple of different lines because it's all about where you want to position your car for turn 2, and Anders had a nice beautiful apex there, giving him a good straight shot towards turn 3. Open the steering up as much as possible and head towards turn 4. Uphill you can brake late, but if you brake too late you're going off, and I thought I just saw a spot of rain on my screen. Hopefully it wasn't though, because it did say that it wasn't going to rain unfortunately. But Anders through turn 5 and 6, you can lose or gain so much time through there, and if you haven't got a lot of aeros on your car it's a tricky horrible corner, but if you've got lots of aeros it's an easy corner. And I'm going to guess that Anders perhaps hasn't got a lot of aeros because he just ran wide out of turn 8, suggesting maybe that he's pushing the car a little bit too hard. I mean, he's done a 23.4 sector 1 and a 32.5 sector 2, but I mean, just to sort of bring it to topic of conversation, guys, if this was a World Series race now, and he'd sort of ran off the track in the couple of ways that he has, what would he have to do?
That's very... It's in the rule books, it's guidelines are there for a reason. If all 4 wheels are over them, ETL lifts call for. If you do it, you can actually save yourself a penalty. If you don't, you can put quite a severe penalty after the race, as results are only provisional until stewards' inquiries are finished, if any.
I've learnt that the hard way a few times.
Unfortunately, I mean it's not an easy thing for drivers to do, but yeah, I mean on a qualifying lap, if a driver does cut or extend a corner, they can do an ETL lift, and as long as if the game hasn't invalidated the lap, then obviously they can continue and complete the lap, and they won't get any penalty. Caribbean Crush has gone back out on track on the medium compound tyre, and he has done a 23.6 sector 1 time and a 32.4 sector 2 time, and on the medium compound tyres I think that's a fairly damn good sector time. So as he makes his way to Sunway Lagoon, he's having no problems with that corner. I mean, that corner is one of those that once you've got the line right and you've driven it and you've gone, oh, that was nice, you know that you can do it and you can try and hit that line again. It's when you get out of shape or get out of position or get into a wrong rhythm into that corner, it can be so costly. Well, let's see if this is going to be pole position for Caribbean Crush. It is pole position.
That's a very solid lap there. That is very competitive, even on World Championship level.
Yeah, Two's Moose flying lap. Looks like his has been invalidated. It has, as well as Willow Wolves has. Anders, he went into the pits and he's coming back out of the pits again now. Danny Railton, he's heading into the pit lane. He was going to complete the lap but opted not to. Lord JB, he's heading into the pits. I think Gonk has just come out of the pits. And Coloniax, I think his lap has been invalidated.
DP,
yes.
You may want to jump on board with business. He's just set a 23.2 sector 1 second flying lap at 4/10 faster than Caribbean Crush.
Oh. Can he save it? Can he save it? He does just save it. Jumped on board with him just in time there.
A Raider, we know what colour his underwear is right now.
Yeah, that is very, very true. He's going to have to be aware of the... Anders has done a 23.4 sector 1 time, but he's backed out of it, unfortunately. During this qualifying session, the sun is getting very, very low here. Do you think that would affect the drivers in any way, Rickster, as they come around some of the corners and the sun is just glaring into their eyes?
Oh yeah, definitely. I've had it a few times where I'm coming around the corner and it's on one of those tracks where the sun's setting and you get that glare and you cannot see a thing. And then you've just got to pretty much hit and hope. Just got to go down, just got to know where the corners are, where the braking points are if you can't see them properly.
Okay, guys, I'm just going to have a quick look at the timing screen. We're going to need to see who is out on laps at the moment. Caribbean Crush, is he going for another flying lap? He's sitting on pole position at the moment. Well, it's lining up to potentially be a fantastic race, you know. Caribbean Crush heading back into the pits. And Anders' lap was invalidated again, so still sitting in 5th place and maybe attempting to go for another lap.
Yeah, as we speak, we've got Gon climbing up with a 23.8 sector 1 soft compound he's got in his car now. Qualifying comes to the end, he may nick a few places. All the colour drivers making mistakes around the trucking Malaysia track. Let's see how he flows through the new sector.
Oh!
DP, I've got to stop going on board with driving.
Yeah, you keep making them crash at the same place. But, I mean, some people may say, oh, that's a glitch with the curb. But it could just be that drivers have got their ride heights perhaps a little bit too low. Coloniax, he's on the medium compound tyre. He's done a 23.8 sector 1. But with a minute to go, guys, if you can, have a look through, see if anyone's doing pretty good sector 1 times at the moment.
I'm not sure if it's lag or not, but does Anders still have his front wing? Because on my screen he went into the back of a Red Bull. I think it was Lord JB. So I don't know if he's going slow or not.
On mine, Anders does have a front wing, but he also has an invalidated lap. Now, is he going to have the fuel to complete another lap or go for another lap? He's going to need to hope that he does. I mean, with the sector times he's been doing... No, he's going to the pits. Is he? No, he's not. He is going to go for one more flying lap. Okay, well, 30 seconds time, we're going to get kicked out of the pit lane and up into the commentary box. So let's see. I'm going to try and ride on board with Anders for a little while and see where he may be coming a little bit unstuck. He's very aggressive into turn 1, but getting it slowed down quite nicely. See how he is through turn 2. Slightly later on opening up the steering there, which has created a little twitch as he gets on the power, heading up towards turn 4 now. Is he going to be quicker or not? 23.5, but he's done a few laps on these tyres. He might want to actually think about abandoning this particular lap because of starting on them, having done, say, 5 laps on the tyres. I mean, what would you two guys do?
No. It's the soft compound.
Sorry. I don't know, I'd abandon it because you need the tyre wear in the race and it's just not really worth going for another one in my opinion. That's a personal preference, I guess.
True. Coming to get you, yesterday we saw that a lot of people were struggling on the hard compound tyre. That didn't seem to be the case for yourself, though. I mean, is this a race the way Anders has abandoned the lap? Is this a race, do you think, that you can put on the hard compound tyres early and just run them for a long period of time, or are they really not a nice tyre around this track?
The hard tyre around the track, to be fair, as I'm on board with Danny Railton, he's just put himself up into 6th and 7th. No, the medium and hard tyres, there's not a lot of difference between them. When they're fresh and you're up to speed on the same fuel, it's start of the race is important. But that complicates get my bloody words out. Complicates your strategy later because of how Malaysia can pan out, as we saw with a battle I was having with a fellow WC driver with the weather. But tyre compound don't really make a difference. The one difference between the medium and the hard is the further you push the hard, the longer you go, it gets better until it goes bang.
Sorry to cut you off a second. One of Anders' laps that perhaps didn't get invalidated must have counted, because he says he's sitting in pole position with a 138.889.
That might be interesting. Clear air, 2 medium runners behind you. Could he break away?
It was going to be interesting to see, but okay, Anders pole position then, that might frustrate Caribbean Crush, but Caribbean Crush was on the medium compound tyre, as was Curly Whirly in 3rd place. Toosmoose only 5th, I believe, but be interesting to see how he gets on during the race. In a few moments, during the formation lap, I'm going to need to jump out and rejoin to catch the start of the race. I'm sure my co-commentators will be having a look to see of those few drivers that are outside the top 10, what tyres they are going to choose. Looking at the strategy that's available on my screen, it's saying run hard tyre, then soft tyre and hard tyre again, or run soft tyre 3 times and then hard tyres at the end. But yeah, it's looking at sort of 11 to 14 laps on the hard tyre. So if you can get your soft tyres to, near halfway, you may be able to do a 1-stop, or if the hard tyre can do, say, 18 laps, and you can do 10 laps on the softs at the start, 1-stops are a possibility.
Good DP.
Yes.
Are you living in dreamland, man? The softs halfway around Malaysia. God, you'd be driving on rims, man.
Well, you never know. Sometimes people will give it a try. Why not? What's the worst that can happen? You get a puncture. Okay, I'm going to quickly jump out of the lobby. Unfortunately, the viewers won't be able to hear my co-commentators when the screen goes blue. But it does look like it's going to be a dry race for the World Series reserve drivers around the Malaysia Grand Prix circuit. A racetrack that has been on the calendar since 1999. And as we all know from recent news in official F1, it's not going to be on the calendar for much longer. So, coming to get you, would you like to give out question of the day again?
Sure, not a problem, DP. Malaysia, as I stated before, coming off the calendar, as we all know. But back in 1999, it hosted its first event. We all know, or I do, Eddie Irvine won the event, championship complications. But who picked up the last point scoring position in that event? Bearing in mind, points only went to 6 that time around in that era.
Well, it's a good question, and I mean, people may cheat and Google, and we have had a few answers come in, a few guesses, one of which being Stoffel van Dorn. Which is, well, I mean, when this question was first actually mentioned to Rickster, he says, how am I supposed to know that? I was only born 4 years before it. And I'm sat there thinking, oh my God, how old am I? But it does kind of bring me onto a slight topic of conversation, if we can answer it quickly. Points, guys. Should F1 make it so it is only the top 6, or keep it the top 10 that score points? Or should they make it, if you finish the race, you score a point at least, and have it so reliability is awarded?
I'd say a point to every driver that finishes is fair, because the manufacturers of the cars have got their car to the end of the event, and they're the ones that are fighting for constructors, and every point counts. Nowadays, we all know how it works. So yeah, that's what I'd say.
Okay, Rickster, in a couple of seconds, your thoughts on it?
I would disagree, just because that it's good when a team that you don't really see gets into the points, and it's just a nice feeling.
Okay, I'm going to try and get back on board with the leaders. So Anders sitting on pole position, the lights go out. There's a bit of a delay, but away the drivers go. And on the medium compound tyres, second and third place have not had the best of starts, but Anders make them under pressure into turn 1. Caribbean Crush in the middle of the road as one of the Ferraris goes all the way around the outside, and a Mercedes on soft tyres trying to make it all the way around the outside as well, but he's closed off into turn 2. It's getting very, very frantic through turn 2 and into turn 3 as we've got a Red Bull, Lord JB and Mercedes going side by side. I think that's Willow Wolves making the move. Up at the front now, I think we've got a bit of a battle going on between Anders. Yes, we have, side by side, Anders and Curly Whirly, but Anders on the softer compound tyre has the better grip. Caribbean Crush, he's been passed by Tuzmoose into third place. He's not wasting any time, but no, Caribbean Crush back up the inside. Beautiful move into turn 7. Can he hold it towards turn 9? I think my co-commentators have now managed to get on board with the cameras. So guys, what are you spotting at the moment?
At the moment, I'm on board with Tizmus. Caught a lot of action there, a lot of swapping and swapping, but Tizmus made a big mistake. Whoa, car's running
Sorry,
wide.
I just saw Coloni X go straight to the back of a Haas. I think that was gone. Yeah, it was. I think he's still got all of his front wing there, but he went straight into the back of that Haas.
Okay, no comment. So we did see on screen that Caribbean Crush, he ran a little bit wide, didn't he, coming to get you? Very nearly lost himself a few more places.
He did indeed. He did the hard work, got past Tizmus, and then just blew it on trying to break away. This is a track where patience is rewarded in the early stages of this event. Anders coming under pressure as Curly Whirly up the inside makes the move. Is he going to be able to hold on to it though? I mean, Rickster round here, switchbacks are a possibility, aren't they?
Oh yeah, definitely. Also, I've just seen Coloni X pit, so I think going into the back of Gronk did damage his front wing. We'll see if they change it in the pits. No, they don't. He's just gone for a new set of tyres. It looks like he's put the hard tyres on.
Okay, maybe he's gone for a very different strategy there. But Anders still leading this race, and he's in a situation where he needs to open up a gap at the front, because if he doesn't, he's just going to get mugged. Oh, Tuzmoose, where you going? The racetrack don't go that way, but you do. We saw him do that in qualifying. He very nearly completely lost the car, and now he's coming under pressure from Caribbean Crush. And in the background, Lord JB trying to attack Yuzi, but didn't quite work.
No,
So,
but it's one thing I've got to say, DP. It's nice to see all the cars so close and compact at this moment. Normally they spread out with incidents, but this is good racing with 13 cars on track.
it is Rickster. Come and have a look at this battle at the front, because Anders just made a mistake into the Sunway Lagoon, and I've got a feeling he's on his gearbox and he's going to get DRS next lap.
Oh yeah. Oh, he's broke a bit late there though. Nearly went into the back of him. There we go, coming around now. He's right behind him. Maybe get the slipstream coming down to turn 1. Look, you can break late into turn 1, so he could go for a really, really audacious move. He is alongside him now. Oh, that's very close. But I think both drivers getting around this corner. They're still side by side going round turn 2, and Anders just holds it. They're still side by side. Oh my God, coming down into turn 3, I think. Yep, turn 3. They're still side by side. I wonder if one of them's going to make a late breaking move, try and hold the inside.
Yeah.
Curly Whirly's... Has Curly Whirly got it?
He has.
No, they're still battling. But Curly Whirly has got the position yet.
They are. Curly Whirly was able to do it on the brakes up into turn 4, and we could see in the background as well, Tuzmoose, Caribbean Crush were battling just as hard along with Willow Wolves in the background. So it was really good to see that we've got a fight for the lead, and we've got a fight for third place as well. But I mean, Rickster, if you're Anders and you've just been passed by a guy on the medium compound tyre, are you going to be thinking bad thoughts now?
I just try and just run my own race. I always just try and run my own race. Maybe the medium tyres are probably better than the soft tyres here, in my opinion. I wouldn't worry too much about it because maybe in the pit stop phases you'll get him back again. But I don't know really. But,
he may get him back with DRS now.
yeah, I was going to say.
I know that Coming to Get You is there on the microphone, ready to shout at us with something, but Curly Whirly coming under pressure. Is he got?
DP, just quickly, Mr. Loki's on the move. He's up to 8.
Okie doke. Anders HC wasting no time, managed to make the move up the inside, but is the switch gap back going to work for Curly Whirly? It could, but he's going to have to go all the way around the outside of turn 3, going for another switch back, heading up towards turn 4. So side by side we go again with the 2 Ferraris on different tyre compounds. Oh, Anders really trying to hold it out. He's got the inside line, which will help him here.
Now, yep.
This is going to end in contact, is it? No, it's not. I tell you what, fair play to Curly Whirly there. If he hadn't backed out of that one a little bit, that would have ended up in a bit of a collision. But while that's been happening, here comes Toosmoose now. He's on the back of this Ferrari battle.
Curly's pulled out to the right, going down side by side, going around this nice little hairpin corner. They're still side by side. I hate that corner. The traction, trying to get the traction there is awful.
It is.
Curly Whirly's up into the lead now. Oh, Anders goes wide though, gets a couple wheels on the grass, and now he's under pressure from Toosmoose.
Toosmoose goes a little wide, gets on the curb, and now he's got cars trying to pass him on either side.
Nearly 3 wide to that corner.
But now all 3 of these guys, actually all 4 of these guys are going to have DRS. Curly Whirly isn't, and unfortunately I've got a terrible camera angle here. As I think Caribbean
Crush going down the inside. Oh nope, he's backed out of that move.
Is that Anders into the pits? Is that Anders into the pit lane?
Yep,
I'm on board, DP. Follow that. I will let you know what he goes on to.
Okay, Toosmoose making a move for the lead up the inside. Oh, bit of contact between himself and Curly Whirly, but Toosmoose takes the lead into turn 1. We're only 5 laps in, and it's been a fantastic race already. What's the rest of the race going to be like? Okay, Rickster, keep an eye on this battle here and shout at me if anything happens, because I just want to have a quick look. So that's the top 4. The OG Dragons in 5th place at the moment, with Yuzi in 6th place. I'm Loki, he's now up to 7th place. I'm just wondering if he's running on the hardest compound tyre, getting him out of the way. Yes, he is. Drew, he's running in 8th place at the moment, also hardest compound tyre. Anders, coming together, you want to update us on Anders?
Anders went on to the hard compound tyre, gone through sector 1, 23 seconds off the lead now. If he pushes, he may get an undercut.
Okay, Gonk in 10th place on the medium compound tyre. He's being hunted by Lord JB, who's on the hard compound tyre. Oh, and he's going to lose it. Can he save it? Around he goes, collects the Renault into the barrier. JB goes. The Sauber manages to avoid him. Hopefully he's not got too much damage on that car, and a brake marker board has been absolutely annihilated down there. Unfortunately for JB, we got on board with him at exactly the wrong point, but Rickster, back to you in this battle for the lead.
Toosmoose in the lead now.
He is.
Curly Whirly putting immense pressure on Toosmoose, who's getting pressured by Caribbean Crush. So Curly Whirly and Caribbean Crush are going to get the DRS now, as I see a Mercedes pit in the background there.
Yeah,
which one that was. Not really gaining each other. Oh, they both switched to the right, left. Sorry. Yeah, he's holding it. Toosmoose has held that position very well.
You have to add into that. It was my right, your left.
Yeah. Yeah, Toosmoose holds the position.
So, coming to get you, or Rickster, if one of you could have a look at whether Anders is gaining now on this leading trio, and whether he is going to be getting an undercut. Because if he does, that could be absolutely crucial. And Willow Wolves, it was.
Toosmoose just went on the grass there, but he's managed to hold it well because he's still in front of the 2 cars behind him.
He's always.
Curly Whirly's put massive pressure on Toosmoose now. He's switched to the right of the track, his right. Going side by side down a little hairpin corner. Tracks the power down as quickly as you can, but nice and smooth. So Curly Whirly does still. Oh no, Curly Whirly's up into the lead now. Toosmoose. Was Toosmoose ahead? I've just had short-term memory loss.
Moose was ahead. Oh, Caribbean Crush though having a look up the inside. Moose goes wide at the Subway Lagoon. He decides to go and see if they put deck chairs out, and they haven't yet, so he carries on. He'll maybe check it again a little later on. But yeah, Moose was leading, but he's struggling with the exit of turn 6, which is causing him problems through turn 7, turn 7 and 8. But yeah, interesting battle again for the lead. I mean, Curly Whirly, he's not been able to take a breath yet, a little bit like myself, but here comes, is that Caribbean Crush? It is Caribbean Crush. He's battling to take the lead, and take the lead he does into turn 1, but no, Curly Whirly, he's getting all twisted and trying to fight back into turn 2. We've seen him go side by side on the exit of here a few times, but I don't think it's going to work on this occasion. But here comes Moose to attack him now.
Got much better traction coming out of that corner. He's side by side down with Curly Whirly. Oh, that was very close. Well, no, it did hit him. Yeah, he's hit him a little bit, but he's still facing the right direction. He has lost some ground now on the 2 leaders.
He definitely has. There's a Red Bull ahead of the leader. Got a little bit wide. That'll be Lord JB. But yeah, I think Curly Whirly may have needed to have given Moose a little bit more space in that corner as JB slows down, gets out of the way, heading into turn 9. Oh, nearly catches the back of the Ferrari. I reckon he's got a camera on the front of that Red Bull, and he needed to have a look up the rear end of that Ferrari, see if there was anything special up there. But Curly Whirly's definitely in range to attack, but coming to get you is Anders catching the leaders.
Well, I'm following Anders and Willow Wolves.
Oh, sorry, I could have cut you off because Caribbean Crush went wide at the lagoon, and this is going to put him under a lot of pressure. He's managed to survive it well though. No, he is going defensive into turn 15. Side by side, they go. And Caribbean Crush, I think he's back. No, Curly Whirly into the pits. I thought Caribbean Crush had backed out of it to get DRS, but they'd already passed the detection. Moose into the pits as well, so coming to get you, catch us up please.
Anders, Willow Wolves. Anders has just made a massive mistake going into turn 14, ran too wide, trying to carry as much speed through. He was making up time. It's now dropped to 24 seconds. Silly mistakes kicking in. Willow Wolves is on the back of him. You said who pitted? Because they are coming down the pit straight right now.
Okay, the guys Curly Whirly and Moose coming out of the pits right now, exiting the pit lane.
Ooh, that was a bit tight, but Anders pass. This battle may kick off now. Willow Wolves hanging on to him as well.
Okay.
As you're explaining that, Loki put himself up into third with a simple DRS overtake on Uzi down the pit straight.
Okay, thank you for that, Rickster. Rickster, if you could keep an eye on the leaders for us so that we know when they head into the pits, because as coming to get you said, I mean, Anders in 7th place, he's had a lap or 2 on these tyres now. Is this going to benefit him coming to get you?
Well, not when he's having moments like that, baby. Just got to stay calm. He's running.
Oh, Curly Whirly!
Oh, there we go. I don't think he's confident on these tyres at the moment, but he did have moments as these guys were pitting around turn 14, as I said, so did that spoil his confidence into turn 1 with lack of grip?
Quite possibly did. Moose took full advantage there. He got turn 5 and 6 right. Okay, let us know what tyres he goes. Actually, he's going to come out somewhere around this battle, isn't he? Oh, Anders sideways, manages to keep going, but he's going to lose a position here. I think to Willow Wolves. He's going to have DRS, but I don't think it's going to help him that much, to be honest. No, Willow Wolves can't attack.
Curly Whirly getting past the slightly laggy Drew, as I'm seeing it at present, maybe just my screen. So Curly Whirly is actually pulled away, breaking the slipstream around Malaysia, which is quite crucial. So
Caribbean Crush coming out of the pits on the hard tyres right behind them now.
Yeah, also right behind Drew.
Yeah.
Which he's going to have to be a little bit careful of, and Drew looks like he's either got out of the way or he's teleported out of the way, but Caribbean Crush has probably come out in the best possible position there, ahead of Moose and ahead of 4 cars behind him.
No, he's ahead of them, yeah, not behind them.
Yeah, unfortunately, Drew's connection not playing very nice today, which is going to put off all of these guys behind him as Caribbean Crush comes under a lot of pressure from Twos Moose. Drew goes wide. That was a lucky bit of ghosting there that allowed Twos Moose to get past there. No, Drew's actually back ahead. Talk about being difficult to overtake. What I would say, if Drew's able to hear this at any point, I would recommend pulling over and letting all these guys pass, because at the moment they have absolutely no idea where you are and it's causing problems. I think I'll be having a word with Drew after this event, unfortunately, because it's bunching these guys up. Something horrid.
They are driving inches from each other. Like, they are so close to each other.
Oh, Twos Moose wide. Caribbean Crush right wide.
Who's that in the Mercedes alongside him now?
I don't even know how to commentate on this one.
What a first race to commentate on.
Oh, Drew!
Oh, big crash into the final corner. Drew's out.
Did he happen to take someone with him there? I'm hoping not.
I don't think so.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. Twos Moose.
Oh, not going to be very happy with that one.
No, he won't be.
Car. It's a horrible feeling, not only for the person who's been taken out, but for the person who's lagging too. Knowing you've done something like that, it's horrible.
A little bit of an update for the lead for you guys. Our new leader is Loki. Didn't expect that myself. But in second, Curly Whirly 7 started closing down a few tenths lap by lap. The gap's a bit big at the moment. Interesting with Mr. Loki's strategy as it unpans.
Oh, Rickster, you still watching this battle for third?
No, I'm not, sorry.
You might want to. Caribbean Crush and Anders, they're having a cracking battle. Now that, unfortunately, Drew is out of this race, it's freed these guys up to fight it out for real. But coming to get you, something to remind you of as well is Loki has not pitted yet. So it'll be interesting to see how much his tyres go off. But, OK, Rickster, you said you were having a look down the rest of the field. Have we got any battles going off further down the order?
Seems like everyone's a bit spread out from 5th downwards or 6th downwards. Twos Moose and Danny Railton are a bit close together, but not enough for any overtakes to happen, I don't think.
OK, in that case,
all going on at the front today.
Caribbean Crush, he's ready to make a move on Anders. So you may want to come and have a look as he moves towards the outside. It's going to be side by side, is it? Around turn 1. Anders very, very late on the brakes there, very hard on the brakes. They are side by side.
They are so close.
Now, is this going to benefit? I was going to say, is it going to benefit the guy behind them more than each other?
I would say so. If I was, if I was in that position, if I was in Willow Wolves' position, I'd just sit there, just let these two battle it out, because you never know, they could take each other off. They're going to be fighting all the time, so just got to find a little space when they're not noticing you there, like Willow Wolves is doing now on Curly Whirly, but they can't really get that done. But he does cut the corner there a little bit. So be careful of those.
Yeah, it was unfortunate for Curly Whirly, but yeah, I mean, a situation like that, you can kind of turn the engine down to lean, let them battle it out and pounce on them when they're not ready. Coming together, you were jumping in with something a moment ago. You got an update for us?
Yeah, it's Mr. Loki. He's holding his own, actually. I've just checked his lap times. He's quite consistent in the mid to low 38s. But Curly Whirly now, I think he may have just turned up his engine up, so he's just taken 7/10 out of him in the middle sector alone.
Ooh. How far behind the leader is Curly Whirly at the moment?
9.9 as we speak. Just coming up to the start finish line now, and that will be 4.7. I believe Mr. Loki's pitted or had a massive moment.
May have had a massive moment. Caribbean Crush under pressure. Oh, you don't want to go that side. You don't want to go that side. Luckily, Caribbean Crush spotted him and gave him the room, and he's taken a very wide line to put himself in position for a switchback. I mean, Rickster, if you were watching that, would you have put your car that close to the wall?
Nope. Definitely not.
Should we sing a little song? What should we do with a drunken sailor? What should we do with a drunken sailor? Sorry, I had to. I've been trying to get that in for the last 5 laps. For anyone that doesn't know what that's about, watch the awards video from the end of last season. But yeah, I mean, that was almost sort of Barrichello Schumacher-esque, wasn't it? Hungary, I think that was, when he got very close to the wall.
Yeah. To answer your question earlier, come to get you, Loki hasn't pitted. I think he must have had a bit of a moment because it's still saying 0 pit stop on the race director, so he's lost it somewhere, I reckon.
Yeah,
no, he has. They were 9.9 as they were coming up to the final corner. I was on board with Curly Whirly. He must have had, I don't know, it's the last corner. It's so wide. He's had the moment there. So I don't know what's happened. Possibly a big lack of concentration looking behind him, maybe.
Well, he's weaving at the moment. I'm wondering whether he may have had a problem with the back marker ahead of him, which I wouldn't have thought he would have done. But we can see Curly Whirly beginning to close the gap in as well. But I mean, we've got to bear in mind as well that, I mean, the strategy for, it was shown on my screen at the start, was use the hard compound tyre for 14 laps, and Loki's on lap 13 of them. Curly Whirly, though, he's 3.3 seconds back.
Sorry, cut you off there, Dave, but Anders and Caribbean Crush just hit each other's side pods going around the first corner, but somehow they're still facing the right direction.
And I don't think this fight is over, so you might as well keep talking us through it.
Oh well, it is over. That's over now because it's backed out of it. Just
it is.
As I was about to.
I mean, it is an interesting situation for Willow Wolves, though, isn't it? Because he is sort of now, he is following this battle. But this is a situation where, oh, Willow Wolves, where are you going? He's taken the Twos Moose line. He managed to recover, though, enough just. Let's see, Anders. He's having a look up the inside into turn 9, but yeah, not quite able to do it. I mean, if you're Willow Wolves, I mean, this is to sort of both of my co-commentators here. If you're Willow Wolves, sort of stuck behind 3rd and 4th at the moment, and I'm just thinking, what's the gap back to the OG Dragon? It's not a big gap. Do you risk going for an additional pit stop and putting on the soft compound tyre again and being 2-3 seconds a lap quicker than anybody on the hards?
I don't know, myself. I've been riding on board with him quickly, jumped up in the room.
Oh, just cut you off a second, Caribbean Crush being passed by Anders up the inside into the final corner. Anders really likes putting his car into tight little gaps that aren't really there. I wonder if Caribbean Crush is going to show him what the crushing force is all about heading into turn 1. Not easy to do with Anders having DRS, though. Sorry to cut you off there, but yeah, sorry, carry on.
No worries, BP. Action's always more important, as they say. No, but it's just for the Wolves. He's just sitting pretty. What's he doing? Letting them battle, high wave kicking them, side-by-side action ahead. If I was in, I'd give it another 2, 3, 4 laps. If these guys are still at it, I'd just put a whack a set of mediums on, get the car in rich and try and undercut the pair of them.
Caribbean Crush was starting to have a look at putting his car into the tight little spaces now, and realising it's probably not going to work too well. Okay. Oh, he's got a good run through turn 7. And I think he may have just taken a little bit too much apex curve at turn 8. So he's not having a look down into 9.
Loki.
Oh, so Curly Whirly, he's been on an absolute manic charge then. He's already made a pit stop. He's closed the gap up to Loki. The lead is going to change hands. So, come on, guys, talk us through it.
Wow, it's so cool. It's the back straight, side by side. You don't really want to get it done early. You should actually normally sit behind. What's the Loki going to come back with? Curly Whirly's got DRS. Okay, slipstream pulling Mr. Loki instead. Can he outbrake Curly Whirly? No. Maybe the sensible game here now for Mr. Loki. Sit behind, save some fuel, sit in the slipstream, and maybe pull off a one stop.
Just going to cut you off a second. Caribbean Crush, he's made the move back on Anders, but heading into turn 1, Anders trying to fight it back side by side. They go again, and Anders losing out, but he's going to have a better run through the exit of the corner. Caribbean Crush definitely going defensive now. I mean, turn 4, Rickster, is it a corner that you can easily defend at, or is it better to let the guy have the inside line and go for the better exit yourself?
Yeah, I mean, that's probably what I would do. I mean, there's no point in trying to fight there. I mean, just do the switchback, or, you know, it's probably the better way to go. So.
Okay. So, Caribbean Crush back up into third place. He must have held third place about 15 times in these 15 laps. But having said that, Anders has held it 15 times in these 15 laps as well. So,
well, that's all been going on, guys. We've got Mr. Loki in second, but he's not letting Curly Willy a little lock up there. He may be starting to feel the tyre wear, but he's not letting Curly Willy get away.
He's got a puncture! He's got a puncture!
He's took too much out of him. What does he do now? Set of mediums or 2 sets of softs? He's in big trouble.
I would guess. I mean, are a set of soft tyres going to do 13 laps here?
No. If I was Loki and I had a set saved, whoa, that's a bit chaotic into the pit. No, I'd run 2 sets of soft, 6 laps, 1 set and 7 laps the next.
Okay. Well, that's promoted Caribbean Crush up to second place now. Anders third place, and if these guys all end up on the podium, I'm sure it'll be an interesting chat we have with them. Loki. Yeah. Oh, well, Rickst, I mean, what do you think of that one? Is it frustration from the pit stop?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you're running your race, you're doing well, and then you go and get a puncture, and then as soon as that one bad thing happens, it seems to have like a chain reaction. Well, with me anyway, I know that.
Oh, no, I agree with it. It happens to me as well.
It's always annoying having to all the time.
Now, I'm wondering, whether this kind of perhaps mixes things up a little bit, because Curly Wurly now leading the race. He's got a 10-second gap to second place. I think Curly Wurly could afford to make another pit stop. He's close enough to catch up, overtake. But if he has any problems, then he's done a pit stop for no reason. However, he was the first to put on the hard compound tyres. I mean, when was it Curly Wurly did pit, and do we think he can actually get to the end of the race?
Curly Wurly pitted BP at the end of lap 7 from medium to hard, so
21 laps.
I'd say that's we've just seen from Mr. Loki 15 laps, and I think they were brand new.
Yeah, they were brand new because he started outside the top 10.
You'd look at that, I'd say no, we've got to be... He's got a window, maybe mediums or hards, but me personally, with this lead, why not just run another set of hards and just relax, because I believe he's 10.7 ahead of second because of the battling. They are just carrying on, which is lovely action, but it's costing them so much.
As you say that, Anders is into the pits. Coming out of the pits actually now with a new set of hard tyres.
A new set of hard tyres. Okay, Willow Wolves is coming out of the pits as well. So Willow Wolves has decided to go for a little bit of a change. So 13. Well, maybe Anders is thinking to do. Well, it's only 11 laps for Anders. Would the medium tyres not have done that for him?
I practiced with the medium, and I'd say the medium's good with qualifying for 8 good laps. So 10, yeah, he probably should have got away with it, but maybe thinking with tyre life, he may be able to push the harders longer, depending on the fuel mix and the fuel load he's got left.
Okay, well, what we've now got is the OG Dragon in third place, and he's got Yuzi within sort of a couple of seconds behind him on a set of medium compound tyres. This is now the battle for third, and I think Curly Wurly could pit and come out potentially just ahead of these guys, which would give him a perfectly clear track with only Caribbean Crush ahead of him. Let's see, how far behind? Anders is about 5, 6, 10 seconds behind the OG Dragon. So has he got a little bit of clear track? Yes, he has. Got a back marker ahead of him. Willow Wolves has dropped off a little bit from the back of Anders now. Danny Railton not seen.
Just update, Uzi's in the pit, so he's got clear air now to push in some laps.
Okay, so Yuzi having used the medium compound tyre, that must be for his second stop. So the OG Dragon is continuing on. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if the OG Dragon thinks, you know what, I'm going to try and get to the end because I'm on the podium at the moment. But, I mean, let's see, 22, Anders catching the OG Dragon by about half a second a lap at the moment.
If I was in OG Dragon shoes, I'd be thinking about another pit stop and sort of getting what I can out of the race, because I don't think these tyres are going to last. It's Malaysia.
Well, interestingly, Rickster, I was going to ask you if you could have a look at Curly Whirly's lap times and see if his lap times are dropping off at all. Obviously, he had quite a few laps where he was pushing, catching Loki, but I'm wondering if he's dropped off to perhaps preserve tyres or whether they're dropping off, because what he's on... He's done 11 laps on these tyres now.
They're still, I mean, the lap times, they're still pretty consistent. I mean,
know what? Don't worry about it. Well done for looking, but he's into the pits.
Oh, right then.
So just as I was contemplating if he is going to pit or not, he answers the question. Now it's what tyres is he putting on? It's another set of the hard tyres.
I think the driver's just playing it safe. They don't want to risk it, I don't think.
So Caribbean Crush takes over the lead of this race. Now he pitted a lot later than Curly Whirly. I don't know if Caribbean Crush is going to be able to get to the end of the race. I mean, we talked earlier and you said one stop. No, not here. But didn't you do a one stop yesterday coming to get you?
No.
All right.
What I did was I pulled up the screen in front and it said rain, and I went 2 compounds hard, pushed like a bat out of bow and have some fun.
Fair enough.
Back. And then I jumped stocky, which was amazing, and that was a little moment I'll leave there. But yeah, it's the hard tyres, they just keep going and going and going, BP, and if you've got a good setup you can get so much out of them. But they've only got a working range in my view of about 14 laps. Push 16, that's it. So
Okay.
no, one stop. No. Next time, watch me some more.
I'll try. It was chaotic yesterday. Four of us in the commentary box. Okay, the OG Dragon has made a pit stop. He's come out ahead of Yuzi. Still not a big gap between those two. Danny Railton still running in 7th place at the moment. Coloniax, we've not seen him at all during the broadcast, unfortunately. He's down in 8th place. Tuzmoose is still in the race. We've not seen him since that unfortunate crash, down in 19th place at the moment, and I think he'll be a little bit frustrated on that one. Sorry, 9th place. Well done, Rickster, well spotted. Lord JB, he's sitting in 10th place at the moment, and even if he feels his race hasn't gone too well, he's still on for picking up a point right now. Caribbean Crush into the pits.
With a set of hards with 8 laps to go. I'm a bit lost on that one.
Could it be a case of not having new softs or mediums?
What tyres did he start on? Oh no, Caribbean Crush. Yeah, he just started the race, so he's picked the harder compound, given 1 set of mediums and 2 sets of hards. So I think he's been a bit stuck for strategy then.
Okay, well, it's brought him out in 2nd place. The gap now between himself and the leader, 12.2 seconds. And he's going to have to be careful of Anders, who is just over a second behind him. So this is the closest battle we got up at the front, the battle for 2nd and 3rd. Willow Wolves has lost 4 seconds in that pit stop phase. He's got a 8-second gap to the OG Dragon, who is opening up that gap to Yuzi now in 6th place. So I'm going to keep the camera on board with Caribbean Crush and Anders for that battle that potentially could come our way. But 20 laps into the race, and I've got to say the opening stint was absolutely phenomenal. So a quick question to yourself, Rick Stummy. You were watching when Caribbean Crush was stuck behind Drew with Drew's bit of lag there. I mean, how off-putting is that for a driver when you're sat behind someone who's so I'm trying to think of the word now, wanting to be Doctor Who?
It's awful. It's horrible because all you want to do is you just want to race, and you want to race cleanly, and you want to race fairly. And when you've got a car, it's literally right in front of you, whilst you're battling with another car, jumping all over the place. It's the most off-putting thing that could possibly happen, because they could be miles up the road, and you can think, okay, fine, I've got plenty of gaps for them, and then just like that, they'll jump back and they'll be right in front of you. And it happened to me at Singapore. If it's into a breaking point, it can ruin a race, and it has done with Tuzman's. So
yeah, I mean, I didn't get a good view of what did happen with Tuzmoose there, but I wouldn't be surprised if we find out afterwards. And I think one of the shame things about it, not like shame on you, but one of the disappointing things about it is, when you're the driver that's lagging, quite often you might not even know. But I mean, if you're driving along and the car ahead of you sort of goes wide at a corner, you're like, yes, finally they're out of the way, and then 5 seconds later they just appear in front of you. It's very frustrating, very dangerous, but
gives you it does give you a false sense of accomplishment, because you'll get past that car and you'll think, oh great, okay, don't have to deal with him now, and then he'll jump in front of you again, and it just builds on that, and you just get more and more frustrated.
Yep. I mean, one of the things I will say is Formula Racing has said to Drew very early on in the season that if he was called upon to be a reserve driver in the World Series or in the World Championship, then unfortunately FRR wouldn't allow that to take place to protect the drivers in the World Championship and the World Series. And Drew was very understanding of that. I mean, for most of the season his internet has got better and better. His car's been more stable. He's just been unlucky with disconnections, but yeah, today it was jumping about quite a bit, and I think when he sees it back himself, he will be apologetic on that one. However, back to what we've got happening on track at the moment. I'm just having a look at Curly Whirly, who's got to be absolutely loving it out there at the moment. Nobody around him, leading the race, 6 laps to go, no rain coming, absolute doddle to the end, surely.
Yeah, definitely.
That way, Dookie.
Anders hasn't really made up any ground on Caribbean Crush either. I mean, he was a second back last time we checked. He's now 3 seconds back. So he's 4 seconds back actually now, so he's lost another second. But,
so do you think that's a case of sort of, we saw him struggle a little bit on the hard tyre earlier on, but do you think it's a case of, oh, I'm losing a little bit of time here, losing a little bit of time there, and it's a bit of a knock-on effect, kind of like you're saying about if you get a puncture. So for Anders, it's sort of like, oh, I can't catch him, and now he could just get slower and slower and slower.
I mean, you could go that way about it. I mean, for me, like I said, that does happen for me, but you've also got the other side of, no, I've just got to get my head down, I've just got to drive my own race. If I finish behind him, I finish behind him, you know? He's in a solid points paying position. It's not like he's going to, lose out much. So I wouldn't let it get to, if I was him, I wouldn't let it get to me as much. I mean, he's still doing really well.
He's going to have to be careful, though, because Willow Wolves is now catching him up. So he's under threat of losing a podium position. The OG Dragon is still on a bit of a charge as well. You know, he's only 7 seconds behind his teammate, and there's only sort of 4 seconds between Anders and Willow Wolves. So yeah, we may have a bit of a battle for the final podium position in these last 5 laps.
Yeah, and we've got to say, it's been a cracking race as well. So all drivers giving it hell for leather, and they actually seem to help by the little incident that may have threw a bit of spice into the mix. But it happens, it's racing. But I think all drivers need credit.
Guys, you know what? We've got a battle on track. Danny Railton in 7th place. I think he's maybe coming under a little bit of pressure from Coloniacs, who is not very far behind him. Couple of seconds between them. So a lot of pride to fight for down in the lower points paying positions. Now, I'm just wondering as well if Toosmoose, no, Toosmoose unfortunately way too far behind to try and get in on that battle, and JB too far behind to catch up to Toosmoose as well. So I'm going to keep the camera on Danny Railton for the moment, but coming to get you, with there only being 5 laps of the race left to go, would you like to give another shout out of question of the day?
Yeah, sure, no worries, DP. Again, Malaysia, coming off the calendar, but I want to take the guys back to 1999. Eddie Irvine the winner, Schumacher, DP's answer, we'll see if it's right or not. I can't remember Rick's answer. Was it Barrichello? We'll see if that's right or not. But I would like to know who picked up the last points paying position down in 6th in the 1999 Malaysia GP.
It's a good question. So if you think you want to have a guess at the answer of that one, we'll put it to the podium sitters as well at the end of the race. So feel free to put your guesses in the YouTube chat. And I have spotted we've had a few questions come through YouTube already, and I've not really been ignoring them, but we've had a lot of action on the track earlier on. However, one has just come through, and it's quite an interesting question. And Rickster, it's one that you might be interested in as well. And the question is, what's the situation with the seat at Yankan Limey Manor in the World Series? And that question, I believe, is basically sort of aimed at Mystic Joker not having turned up for the last couple of races. So the situation as this battle between Kolonieks and Danny Railton is getting closer and closer, you know, so feel free to cut me off at any point, guys, if this move's going to happen. Yeah, the situation, Mystic Joe.
Oh, might do now. A bit loud, I'm not too sure there, but both drivers got through it. The RS in play now. Kolonieks looking to make a challenge. I'm on board with Kolonieks, and I'd be a bit unsure of this move. Hold back and got him down the pitch straight. Nice wide line. There is he. Brought in behind. No, he's ran wide. No. That gravel grab is so possible there.
Yeah, opportunity gone for this lap then. Rickster, if you'd like to just keep an eye on perhaps Willow Wolves and as Caribbean Crush and see if anything's brewing there, and coming together, you cut me off if this happens again. So yeah, Mystic Joker's seat in the World Series, and I've been talking to his teammate Lefty Hardtail, and basically Mystic Joker has sort of not responded to any contact or anything, and FRR has said to Lefty Hardtail, look, you might want to look at getting him replaced, or at least have a standby reserve, because you're in a fight in the constructors' standings. Yeah, have a standby reserve ready to take jump in the seat if he doesn't turn up. But I think it's a situation now where for Lefty Hardtail, he's got to really look at permanently putting somebody in that seat permanently, as Kolonieks has a cheeky look, but decides to back out of it, and they're catching, I think that might be Lord JB they're catching up to the back to. So yeah, Lefty Hardtail is having a look for a new permanent driver, but one of the things he said he's thinking of doing is trying out a couple of reserve drivers to see who does well, who he gets on well with, and I mean, Caribbean Crush could be one that he thinks about putting in the seat, although I do believe that Caribbean Crush has already got a reserve drive for the next event. But it could be said, I mean, looking at the race today, I mean, Rickster, if you were going to have to pick a reserve driver for yourself for Malaysia next week in the World Series, out of these guys, who would you be sending a quick message to? Pick the really bad ones. So Lefty Hardtail picks him with he scored no points.
No, I mean, a couple of drivers have impressed me today. I mean, Curly Whirly definitely for one. He's just ran his own race. He's kept his head down, and he's so far out in front. He's got 16 seconds out in front now. Yeah, okay, you could argue because of Mr. Loki retiring, could have got a bit of luck there, but I still think he would have done well anyway. But Curly Whirly's definitely one. Caribbean Crush another one. But a few of these guys have done really well tonight.
That they have. I'm just having a quick look at the top three at the moment. Caribbean Crush got a little bit messy at the Sunway Lagoon. and I think Willow Wolves is just a little too far behind. Yeah, still 4 seconds behind Anders. I'm wondering if Anders sort of has just managed the gap to the car behind, and protected that third place. The OG Dragon doing a good job in 5th place at the moment. Opened up the gap to Yuzi quite nicely, so I do think the closest battle is still this battle for 7th and 8th, although that has opened up a little bit, but it's always good to see how they're getting on. But Toosmoose, I mean, if we can talk about Toosmoose for a little while. I mean, he's on the medium compound tyre now, but I mean, he was in that fight for the lead of the race and for the victory. Go on.
I've got to cut you off a minute. Danny Railton is what I've just seen some teleporting that I'm impressed with. I don't know if we've got lag issues with Danny Railton. I believe he had a few yesterday, maybe just his internet. But yeah, Danny Railton's car jumping about, and I don't know if it's caused damage then to the following salver. No yet. So he did hit him quite hard. It looks like he's.
Oh yeah, again, yeah.
Whoa. I don't know if it's affecting the salver though. I'm not seeing any damage from my point of view. It might be mine. So a bit of an issue that may need to be looked at now.
I think Danny may have a problem here. He's off throttle a lot, unless he's got a lot of damage on the car or something. But yeah, I mean, he was definitely very slow through the corner. Danny Railton's out of the race. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear.
Interesting.
That's a disconnection.
I think we might be right there.
Well,
I don't know.
Actually, his car's not ghosted. That's an unusual one. That must have been a disconnection. We'll see what's going to happen there. Let's see, Curly Whirly, he's on the last lap of the race, going through turns 7 and 8, headed up towards turn 9. So yeah, I mean, we talked a little bit about Mystic Joker, and it is a shame that Mystic Joker wasn't able to compete in all of the races in the World Series, because definitely a quick driver, no doubts about that. But I mean, in the World Series, the battle for the championship has really been hotting up. I know Conzo messaged me a few weeks ago saying championship over, and then by the next race, championship was back on. So yeah. Definitely hotting up quite a lot in there. Rickster, I know that the WS has not gone fully your way this season, and I'll come onto that in a moment, as Curly Whirly comes around the final corner for the final time to take victory here in Malaysia. Absolutely delighted with that he will be. Caribbean Crush, I think he would have been a lot closer to Curly Whirly without that little bit of action involving Drew's TARDIS earlier on, but second place, I think he'll take that. Fantastic battles all the way through the race. Anders, he's going to come across the line in third place, and I think he should be fairly proud of how his race has gone. Again, involved in some fantastic battles. Willow Wolves played the patient game. Patience paid off for fourth. And the OG Dragon, it'll be a 5th place finish for him. Yuzi, not too far behind in 6th place. I think he'll be fairly satisfied with that, although perhaps feeling he could have done a little bit more. Coloniax perhaps gifted that 7th place by the end, but either way, it's in a points paying position, and an interesting race from him. Toosmoose, he was outright winner in the World Series Reserves 2 weeks ago, but unfortunately didn't go to plan for him here today, so he's in 8th place at the moment. Danny, I think, has got back in his car in 9th place, and Lord JB a lap or two down in 10th place. We saw him have a big off earlier on. So Rickster, yeah, I mean, the World Series not quite gone to plan for you this season. I mean, is there any reason for that? Is the girlfriend just wearing you out too much and keeping you busy?
No, it's a mixture of a few things. I mean,
Two girlfriends? No, I don't mean that. If she's listening, I don't mean that.
I can't disclose that information.
Just to remind you guys, if you could take a screenshot of the result for us, top half and bottom half, because it is showing me some proper drivers' names, although it does look like it's those that didn't finish the race. But either way, so yeah, the World Series, Rickster.
Yeah, it's a combination of a few things. I mean, I haven't been able to do a lot of practice this season. I'm so busy now. Also, it doesn't help the fact that nearly everyone in the World Series now is ridiculously quick. World Series is very competitive, at least for now anyway.
Well, I mean, I had an interesting conversation with Millstar after the broadcast yesterday, after we went offline. He might not appreciate me mentioning this, but he sat there and he says, you know what? It really frustrates me that Ant 69 always seems to finish the race. Says he might not be the quickest of drivers, but he always finishes the races, which means if points are available, he can pick them up. And it is very competitive in the World Series, just as it's very competitive in the World Championship. Okay, coming to get you. If you'd like to invite our podium sitters in for the interviews, which will be Curly Whirly, Caribbean Crush, and Anders. Anders may not be aware that is available to jump in, but we will see if he is going to come in. But yeah, I mean, coming together, I mean, I've just talked to obviously Rich there about his season and the competitiveness in the World Series, and I mean, you've gone from the World Championship reserves into the World Championship, and I mean, when you were in the World Championship reserves, you were kind of dominating it. You've gone into the World Championship, and I think you've managed to get on pole position.
What's your point, DP? What's your point, DP?
I'm not
having a dig at me.
No. I'm not having a dig. I'm not making a point. I'm getting to a question, and that is. I mean, is the World Championship more competitive than perhaps you thought it might have been?
Definitely, it's a case of in the reserve races, you know that they're there to practice and get their tyre strategies right and see what competition that's in the reserves. So you know you're not there fully pushing. But at the end of it, I think they realised what I had, and they in races I consistently finishing in points. So that was my goal. My goal was 5th, and I'm reaching my goal. I'm sat in 5th in the championship as we speak.
Yep. Okay. So I think I saw that Curly Whirly may have joined us in the commentary box, and if Caribbean Crush has done as well, guys, please make sure you check you've got your microphone set to allow to be shared.
Who was our third place, DP?
Third place was Anders HC. If you need him suggesting, I can do that for you.
Yeah, if that's okay.
Okay, apologies for the blue screen for a moment, folks. Anders has sent me a message saying that he's got to go to work, so he won't be joining us for the podium interviews, unfortunately. So as long as we've got Caribbean Crush and Curly Whirly, which we haven't at the moment, we've only got Curly Whirly, so we'll wait a moment for Caribbean Crush. But yeah, I've got to say, I mean, okay, Rick Street, I mean, you've did a commentary with me, I think it was last season, one of the Friday Monaco races that we did. So your first commentary for quite some time, how do you think that went as far as a race as a spectacle?
I think it was a brilliant race. I mean, especially the first half. A lot of overtakes, a lot of cars really close together. It's what these guys have got to do is they've got to impress the World Series drivers, and they've got to impress the World Championship drivers, because at the end of the day they're in this league to get a drive in those leagues, and I can say for sure that a lot of those drivers impressed me today. So
yeah, very, very true.
We now have Caribbean Crush's companies, guys.
Okay, good stuff. Okay, so time to get the podium interviews underway then. And Curly Whirly, it's not the first time you've been on the podium. Unfortunately, right now, I think the last time you were on the podium interviews, you also won that race. Am I wrong?
No, that's right. It was Monza.
It was? Okay, good job. So, some people may say, oh, that was easy if they joined in the last 10 laps of that race. It was too easy for you. But that means they wouldn't have seen the first half of the race, which was anything but easy. Side by side for most of the laps, with some geezer in a Ferrari, making life a little bit tricky for you out there.
Yeah, he made it pretty easy, I think, in the second half of the race. So I think he kind of paid me back there. But yeah, I mean, the racing with all the guys, the first sort of 7 laps of the race was phenomenal. I had a lot of fun with that, and just wanted to make sure that I didn't crash out, because in other leagues I've had quite a few races ruined by crashes recently. So yeah, just trying to make sure I was leaving as much space as I could.
Okay, I'm going to hand over to my co-commentators now. So, Rickster, have you got any questions you'd like to put to Curly Whirly?
Yeah. How happy were you when you saw that Loki retired?
Pretty disappointed.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
Any more questions, Rickster, or is that the only one you could think of?
No, that was it.
Okay, Curly Whirly. Sorry, not Curly Whirly. Well, you can ask yourself some questions if you want, but I really meant coming to get you. You got any questions for Curly Whirly?
Of course. That was, I've got to say, between you drivers up at the front, that was superb to watch. Every chance we got. And then when you all pitted the first time, again, you all met each other, and that was brilliant. When you pitted the second time, though, I noticed the guys behind having a little bit of a squabble, and the first time, and you managed to break away. Now, was that a change of strategy, or were you just following the strategy and hoping for the best in the battle?
My tyre wear in the first stint was pretty bad, so I had to pit lap 7, which meant I got an undercut on Caribbean Crush, and Tasmas was behind me in the pits, so that was fine. And I knew that with the undercut I'd be able to come out ahead. And then really they just sort of got jammed behind my teammate, and yeah, that kind of ended the battle there. So yeah, I mean, good drive from Anders, but I think slightly disappointing that the 3 of us, me, Caribbean Crush, and Tasmas, couldn't have battled the whole race. But yeah, they just kind of got stuck there and were battling, and then I was able to just pull a gap from that, and then Loki retired. So after that point, it was pretty much just cruising to the finish.
I see. That's well, it worked out for you, and it was again superb to watch. I'm just wondering, have you watched a few of the WS races at all?
Yeah, I watched a bit of Singapore last week, and then I watched a couple of the ones earlier in the season, so I know quite a few of the drivers in there from other leagues, so I always try and grab a little bit of it, see how they got along.
My next question is, after a performance like that, against the likes of Hindle, Konzo, Kels, do you think you could replicate that? Because I would be interested to see how that turns out.
Yeah, I think so.
That's good to hear. So guys, you heard it here. If anyone needs a driver,
Oh,
this might be a man to take a win.
Interesting questions you asked him there, because there was a couple of questions I was going to ask, and I can tag them onto what you just said. That's all right. No, it's brilliant stuff. I was going to ask Curly Whirly, if you were called upon to be a reserve driver for next week in the World Series, are you up to speed on the FRR rules? Are you up to speed on being able to record and provide footage of the event? So are you up to speed on everything you'd need to know to be able to jump into a reserve seat to show what you could do in the World Series?
I think you guys are kind of doing my advertising here for me.
Yeah, we are.
You're welcome.
Yeah, absolutely. It'll take about a 12-hour upload in terms of getting the footage up, but that's fine. And I've had a look at what the ETL lifts and such, so yeah, that should be all right. So if anybody wants a driver, just give me a shout.
Okay, yeah, definitely advertising for him a bit. We did with Caribbean Crush. I mean, you'd be surprised the advertising we do for some of the drivers. My other question would be, coming to get you touched on it there, that when you made your first pit stop, you were able to open up a little bit of a gap. The undercut worked for you. Were you in conversation with your teammate throughout the race?
Not at all.
All right.
I was completely blind on that front, yeah.
So you didn't necessarily know what was happening behind you with Caribbean Crush, Tuzmoose and Anders when they were all battling?
So I was really just following it on the minimap, because obviously you have the yellow dot there, so I was just waiting to see when one of them would get through, but I mean they didn't for about 10 laps or so. So yeah, it's how I knew they were stuck behind.
Okay, well there's the first question that I'm going to ask to Caribbean Crush may give you an interesting bit of information. So well done. Don't go anywhere just yet, and we'll move on to Caribbean Crush. Caribbean Crush, how are you, my friend?
I'm good, mate. How are you?
I'm not too bad. Okay, if we were to broadcast a lap and a half when you were following Drew, how much of it would have to be beeped out?
The whole lot.
The whole lot. Okay, so this is obviously touching on what Curly Whirly, the information Curly Whirly is going to find out. You were in a fantastic battle with Tuzmoose Anders in and around the pit stop phase, and then unfortunately you managed to catch up to the back of Drew. His car was a TARDIS. How difficult and how much time do you think all of you guys lost at that point? And did you get to see what happened to Tuzmoose?
Well, I know Tuzmoose really well, so I asked him in the messages after the race, and he said that he hit the back of the driver, Drew. Mm-hmm. And when we were doing the lap behind him, I think we lost about 10 seconds behind him, because he was going so slow through the corners, and he might not have actually been going slow. It's just his lag car.
Yeah.
So every time we tried to catch up to him, the slower car would hold us up in the braking zone, so we couldn't overtake or anything because we didn't know where he was, and that caused a 5-man train behind us.
Yeah, and unfortunately, the one occasion where, because we touched on the commentary, the one occasion where it's like, oh, he's gone wide, quick, go, right, we're all sorted now. He reappeared 5 seconds later in front of you all again.
Yeah, that was... I have no words to describe how annoyed everyone must have been there.
Yeah, well, it gave us some interesting footage and some interesting talking points anyway. But I mean, there were some other fantastic parts of your race, so hopefully my co-commentators will touch on that with the questions that they've got for you. So Rickster, over to you for any questions you've got for Caribbean Crush.
Yeah, we've seen you race in the World Series before and get a couple good results. It's pretty much the same questions, Curly Whirly, but do you reckon if you were to get a permanent drive in the World Series after a performance like this one, which is pretty good, you would be able to consistently run at the front with Hindle and Konzo and etc.?
Yeah, I feel like I've been doing that already anyway, so I'll be able to keep that momentum going anyway.
Fair enough.
Sounds like that was Rickster's one question. So, coming to get you any questions for Caribbean Crush?
Just a couple. I'm interested. It's kind of the same lines of Curly Willy. I've seen you race Caribbean Crush, and you're impressive. You've got some speed, and you have fought Hindle, Konzo throughout a few reserves, etc., which is good to see. Through your experience of doing that, at any point did you think to take yourself out of this battle, to get yourself some proper clean air, think about pitting earlier to show what you've got against Curly Willy and break away, or was it again?
Yeah, my tyre wear was good, so I decided to stay out longer, and then hopefully not get held up in the pit lane. But I did come out behind Curly Whirly and in front of I think it was Anders and the other cars behind. But unfortunately, I was just behind Drew, so yeah, that's where the race got ruined.
Yeah, it's just one of those disappointing factors, an unfortunate event. But yeah, I'm interested to know. Do you use manual gears?
Yeah.
Do you use any other assists or just traction control?
Normally don't even drive with traction control. I've only started using it again recently. I can drive without it. When I first came in, I didn't use it.
It's interesting because I've been watching you and being on board. So I thought I was gathering that, but it was interesting because I'm unsure with assists being allowed. Have you thought about stepping up to the championship and reserving more there and giving that a go?
Yeah, I've already been asked this question before, and I have thought about going to the championship, but I just can't be asked to practice without using the line because I don't have the time at the moment anyway.
Well, racetracks are like football pitches. The goals never move unless it's a council park, and they tend to move quite often. They quite often disappear completely. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting though. I mean, something I've talked about a lot over the years about the racing line is the racing line can be very, very handy for people, but actually the racetrack can be much more effective for you, because the racetrack will have something on it that'll tell you this is where you should brake, this is where you should turn, this is where you can get your power on. So when you get rid of that line to begin with, it's like, oh, where am I going? But after a while, you realise, oh, hang on a minute, okay, there's a white line there, there's a start of a curb here, oh, there's a tyre mark there that is always there. For example, Singapore, there was always a black mark heading into the stadium section where you go under the stand. There was always a black mark at the side of the wall on the right hand side, the random black mark, but it's the braking point. So there's lots of little different touches that you can find around the racetrack that you can use as your braking points, your turn-in points and stuff like that. However, you do have to make sure that you don't actually use the brake marker boards, because sod's law is somebody will come along and destroy them. Won't they, JB? You know what I'm on about. But anyway, yeah, I mean... Caribbean Crush, I've got to say, another fantastic event there from yourself. I mean, we saw in the opening stint of the race, Curly Whirly was in one hell of a battle with his teammate, but right behind it, you was in one hell of a battle with everybody that you was near. I mean, it was a full-on slog with Toosmoose and with Anders as well. I mean, that opening stint of the race, was it frustrating that it was a constant overtake, defend, be overtaken, attack, or was it just pure enjoyment from a driving point of view?
Yeah, in the opening stint, I enjoyed it because first place wasn't getting far away anyway, so I might as well just, suck it up. And obviously I wanted to pull away. Yeah, that was it. I enjoyed it anyway, first stint. Good.
For then we'll do the question of the day. The rumours are that you are already booked in for a reserve drive next week in the World Series in Malaysia in the McLaren. Is that correct?
Yeah, for Front Row Racing GP.
Okay, in that case, I'll go over to his question he's put on YouTube. Caribbean, will you be able to bring the win home for our team next week?
Yeah, I'll try. I'll make it my target if I have to.
Good. And as I said earlier on, if there's anyone that's deserving of a permanent seat in the World Series at the moment, this is no offence to yourself, Curly Whirly, but Caribbean Crush should be knocking on everybody's door. Or should that be, everybody should be knocking on his door. Definitely put the time and the hours in. So well done to our podium sitters. Unfortunately, Anders couldn't join us. He's had to go to work. He'll probably be mulling that race over in his mind while he's flipping burgers or doing whatever it is that he does. I have no idea what his job is, so don't take offence if it is that or not. Or if you're a vegan, my apologies. So, coming to get you, question of the day, and from my podium sitters, we're not going to accept, I don't know, as a valid answer. We will wait here until you give us one. So, coming to get you, would you like to give one last shout out for question of the day?
Of course. So, where it is, one more time. Malaysia's coming off the calendar. I'm going to take you back to 1999. We know the race winner, Eddie Irvine. I'm interested to know if anybody knows out there who picked up the last points-paying position of the first hosted Malaysian Grand Prix here in Sepang.
So, Curly Whirly, cast your mind back to a time before you were born.
Not quite.
All right.
See, I didn't know Eddie Irvine won the race because that was going to be my guess. So, all right, I'm going to go with David Coulthard.
Ooh, good guess.
I want to go with the same as well. Be safe.
I like it.
Yeah. Well,
before the answers revealed, DP, Is there any answers on YouTube?
There is. Lord JB, before qualifying, he said DC. So he was either shouting that he's been disconnected or he was calling that it was David Coulthard. Let's see, Jensen Button is what GP said. Milstar said Stoffel Van Dorn. And he did say he knew that he wasn't born then, but there we go. And let's see, have we had any others come in? No, I think that's about it. So DC topping the charts at the moment. As for the guessers, I would like to point out as well that yes, I said Michael Schumacher, but I do know what the answer was, so I wasn't going to give the correct answer. And same goes for Rickster, but I liked Rickster's answer because Rickster gave the answer that he first gave, so I like the honesty there. So coming to get you, would you like to put us all out of our misery, have Curly Whirly and Caribbean Crush hit the nail on the head?
No. It was a Jordan, and it was Heinz Harold Frentzen.
Yep, that is true. That is correct. It was a surprise to me. But yeah, Frentzen from the days of the Jordan. But there we go. Loads of excitement from the answer with that one. But I mean, to be fair, nobody Googled it and cheated it. So fair play. Okay, right, time to start bringing this to an end then. So World Series drivers, if you need a reserve, you could try asking Caribbean Crush, but he's already been booked. However, Curly Whirly, definitely one to consider. On the other hand, Toosmoose. Don't forget about that guy. It's not gone well for him here today, but you never know what could happen given another opportunity. And having said that, anyone that can keep close to Curly Whirly and Caribbean Crush can't be discounted either. So Anders, who took third place here, should not be ignored either. Anyway, well done to all of the drivers. Thank you very much to all of the viewers for watching, taking part, and also thank you to Coming to Get You for joining us on commentary again, and also to Rickster81295, who I think did very well on commentary today. So well done, guys, and thank you very much.
Thank you.
Enjoy.
Okay. Thank you very much for watching, everybody. And next up on the Front Row Racing YouTube channel will actually be tomorrow night for another special event showing Project Cars Fruff GT3s in the Porsche GT3 there. That'll be from 8 p.m, so come and join us for that. And then on Sunday, the DTMs on Project Cars, 8 o'clock again. Join us for that. They're exciting races to watch. But then the main events next Wednesday, the World Championship from here in Malaysia, 7:25 p.m, and on Thursday will be the World Series from Malaysia again from 7:25 p.m. So that's been the Front Row Racing World Series Reserves, the feeder series into the World Series. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you again soon. Do 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 boom.